So a container is kind of three different kernel features put together. One of them here is, I'm going to say change root because every time I say chroot, I feel ridiculous. But I know most people say that as chroot. So that's one of the features. The next feature will be namespaces, and then the feature after that will be control groups or C groups. And these kind of three things combined together form a container. That's why I said there's no one idea of a single container. It's actually these three things put together allow you to make a container. Okay? So let's start with the first and kind of most obvious problem, that if I have two people running processes on the same host operating system, how can I make sure that they can't see each other's files, right? So if I download like my secret recipe onto my web server, I don't know why Coca-Cola has their secret recipe on their web server. Seems like a bad idea, but in this example they do. But I want to make sure that no one else can see into the container, and I don't want anyone inside of any other container to be able to see out to other ones. So that's what we're going to do with change root or Linux jails, right? That's what these used to be called, is you're jailing a process to a particular part of the operating system. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. So by this point, hopefully you have Docker installed. If not, please do that. I'm going to be doing this all within Docker. The reason being is that I'm running right now on Mac OS, right? And Mac OS doesn't have these same primitives because it is not a Linux kernel, right? It's a Unix-based kernel, free BSD kind of stuff. So I'm actually going to be doing all these examples from within a Docker container, right? So I'm going to be building containers within containers, like it's containers all the way down, right? Nested virtualization, as people like to call it. And you can do this too, right? So I'm going to copy this command right here, and I promise you by the end of this course, you will understand exactly what this particular thing is doing. But for now, just trust me that all this is going to do is it's going to start up a Ubuntu container and then drop me inside of it. Now you can do this within iTerm, you can do this within any emulator as you want to, but being on the VS Code team, I'm going to show you as much VS Code as I possibly can get in here before they throw me out. Okay. I'm actually doing this within ZSH, but this should make zero difference to you. You can be in ZSH or Bash. I tried this in both, and all these commands will work both ways. Okay, so I copied, again, wherever it was. This command right here, docker run -it -name docker host -rm -privilege ubuntu :bionic. Paste that in here. And it should, if you don't already have Ubuntu Bionic pulled, it'll take a second to download. I think it's like 150-ish megabytes. That's my guess. I don't remember. But you can see here, now I'm in this root at something, right? So if you say cat etc issue, it'll tell you that you are in Ubuntu 18.04 3LTS. This is a nice trick because sometimes when you're in containers, you don't actually know which distribution of Linux you're in. This will tell you across all distributions of Linux which one you're in, right? If you're using Linux directly, you don't have to drop into a container like this. You can just do this all directly within Linux. Same thing with WSL. If you're in Windows, then you're going to have to probably do the same thing here. So I'm going to switch over to my Windows computer really quick just to show you that this actually can be done as well from PowerShell. So I'm going to open the start bar here, and I'm just going to say PowerShell, which should open this. You can also do this within Windows Terminal. You can do this within VS Code. I'm just going to show you from the PowerShell app directly because I know all of you have it installed because we installed it for you. Well, let's actually do this within the Windows Terminal, but you now know where the PowerShell app is. So I'm going to take that same command that I copied and pasted in my Mac here into PowerShell, and I just paste that, docker run -it -name docker host -rm privilege -privilege ubuntu bionic. And if I run that, you can see here I'm in Ubuntu as well. So this will work within PowerShell. And actually for most of the course, this should work pretty well for you as well. Again, I'm not a PowerShell person. I just want to show you that is available, that does work. Okay. I'm going to go back to Mac now. back to the comfort of the computer that I know much better. So again, in the solutions repo, I actually have a script that will run through all of these things for you so that you can just run the script and it'll run everything for you. But we're going to type it by hand because I think it's useful to create these things by hand. So our goal here, so you can see I can see my entire user system right now if I type ls, which stands for list, right? I want to get it so that I have a process that's limited to one folder within my particular operating system, okay? So I'm going to make a new directory and say my new root. Let's do that, okay? So mkdir means make directory, okay? So you can see here now I have this my new root directory, so I'm going to cd into my new root. Okay, nothing in here. Now the first thing I need to do is I can't just say change root dot bash. So you have to tell it where do you want to be limited to, and then you have to tell it what to run afterwards, right? I want to run a new shell inside of that. If I do this, it's going to say, I don't know where bash is. What is bash? Because there's no bash in here, right? So you actually have to kind of like make a copy of the operating system inside of here, because once it's inside of here, it won't be calling outside of it. It literally can't, right? So it can't find bash, it can't find ls, it can't find all of these things that would normally be available. Okay, so I can do that. So I can say, I'm going to cd out of here and say copy from bin bash. Let's see, I have to make a directory inside of my new root first. So I'm going to say make directory inside of my new root called bin, okay? And then I'm going to say copy from bin bash, and I'm going to copy that into my new root / bin, okay? So now if I say ls my new root bin, cool, now there's bash, right? So can I say change root my new root bash? I still don't know what that is. I don't get it. Well, what are we going to do about that? Well, it turns out that you need a certain amount of libraries, right? Like library code of modules that these particular processes and commands need to run. So if you type ldd bin bash, you can see here's all the stuff it depends on. So you need to bring all this stuff with us. So I'm going to make another two directories inside of my new root, and I'm going to make one called lib, and I also need to make one called lib64. Now I could type out my new lib64, or I can get really clever and I can use curly brace. I can put a comma, which means one of them is just going to be called lib, and then I'm going to put another one called 64, like that. So now if I go inside of my new root, you can see I have a lib and a lib64. Just some clever bash tricks for you. You could also just type out lib and then lib64 after that would work just as well. Make sense? So now we've seen this LDD up here for bash. So anything that doesn't have a path up here, you can just ignore. But these ones here that do have paths, we have to copy all of these into the correct directories inside of my new root. So I'm going to say copy, and then I'm just going to copy and paste these. For this one, copy that, copy that, copy that. Okay, and I'm going to copy that into my new root / lib. So now if I look inside of my new root, inside of the lib, you can see here it's got a bunch of stuff in there that I just copied over. Now we got one more here that's going to go into the lib64. You can tell, right, because I'm just looking at where they are here. I'm just mimicking the same directory structure, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to copy that into lib64. So now if you look inside of lib64, we get that as well. And in case it's not obvious, lib64 is for 64-bit, and the lib by implicitly would be 32 bits, right? Which is how many bits the processes are. All right. So now, in theory, I should be able to say change root, my new root, bash. And look, now I am inside of bash, inside of that directory. So if I type ls, it's going to say, I don't know what that is, because you don't have anything else, right? Some things are just built into the Linux kernel, so I can say pwd for what directory am I in. You can see that I am in the root directory of this particular project, and I can't really see much else. So let's actually go and make it so ls works as well, so we can see what else is in our directory. So if you type exit, that'll get you out of the chrooted environment. This will drop you back into Ubuntu. You can see here now I'm back in this. So now I'm just going to say the same thing for, I'm going to say copy /bin/ls, and I'm going to copy that into my new root, bin. So now that's going to copy ls in there, and I'm going to have to do the same thing for ldd/bin/ls. Same thing. You'll notice that a bunch of these are the same, that I've already copied some of them over. So let's just look inside of lib. So you can see here, I haven't copied that one, so I have to copy that one. So copy that into, that one I already have, you can see that there. SO2, I have that one. Looks like I need that one as well. Nope. Nope, yes, maybe, yes. All right, so that one too. Or you could just copy all of them, it wouldn't do you any harm either. All right, so that's going into my new root lib. And then we'll look inside of my new root lib64. And you can see here, I'm going to have to copy, oh, not that one, it's already there. So now I can go back into change root, my new root, bash, back in here, and in theory I should be able to say ls, and it couldn't find that one. So let's go make sure that that one's there as well. I missed one. That one right there. Very nice of it to tell me though, it's like I can't find this library. So copy that one into my new root /lib as well. And now you can see if I type ls, I can actually see what's inside of my directory. But if you look inside of pwd, you can see it thinks it's at the most root directory. It cannot get out of this, so it has no concept of what's going around it, right? You can only see inside of this. It's been jailed, right? Or it's been, the root has been changed, hence the name chroot.